Welcome to the Point Noted podcast with your host, Johnny B, and co-host who shows up whenever he wants to, former NFL player, Rashad Barksdale. It's raw, unfiltered, and no topic is off limit. We talk sports, entertainment, culture, and a whole lot of random shit. Let's get to the point.
Point on that podcast. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Johnny B. In today's show, we have a special guest in the house. We're hanging out with Christian Straka from Global Mindset Coach and Adidas Runner. Christian, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for the invitation, my man.
Absolutely, man. Did I mess any of that up? It was Adidas Runner, Global Mindset Coach. Did I get that right?
Yes, exactly. You got that right. No, nothing. I work with Adidas, so that is one huge part of my day.
Okay.
On the one side, here in LA with the community, we're working with a lot of runners and teaching them how to incorporate mindfulness and more specifically 3 attentional skills into their workouts, into everything that they're doing in order to optimize their performance. And then I do the same thing for Adidas runners on a global scale, where I'm part of a team where we are developing techniques and methods that we're trying to disseminate to the global community within Adidas. So that's, I think we're somewhere around 40,000 members or something like that now.
Wow, that's great.
And then I have individual clients that I work with a lot here in LA, mostly or also online. And then I have my own company called Mindsize, where we're doing exactly the same thing. We're just teaching all athletes to use these 3 attentional skills to be able to reach their optimal level of performance more frequently and for longer periods of times. And in that company, we are a fantastic team with neuroscientists and PhDs, and we are also helping coaches to learn to teach that to other athletes. So it's not just us doing that, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing that very much.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. When you teaching that to other coaches to spread the word to their athlete, do you guys feel like you're losing client doing that? Because I mean, if you teach a football coach, then that's possibly about 40 to 50 clients that probably could have come to you guys. Or are you teaching them more? So like different pricing or different group when you're teaching someone else to go teach somebody else?
Well, I would not say that we're losing any clients because, other coaches can teach that also now. On
Okay.
the one side, what we are offering in Mindsize is a Mindsize for Athletes, which is a program that takes 8 weeks. That's online, and everybody can do it at their own, from wherever they are. And that's a program that doesn't have really. There's nothing else out there that is like that. And
Okay.
it's very different from, if you really get like a one-on-one personal coaching session. And that's not something that, I do more of. I have my clients that I'm working with. And there's so many people that want personal one-on-one coaching that you can't, work with everybody anyway. Everybody is limited in working with individuals one-on-one. But
Right.
when it comes to people that don't necessarily want one-on-one coaching for multiple reasons, and one of that reason is of course also financially, because it's too expensive to pay a coach, every session, whatever price that is, it's much more scalable, and you can actually help many more people in the world and athletes if you have a program that they can do at a much more affordable price, but it's just as effective. It's just not this one-on-one experience that is exactly the same as if you would have, a coach that you're talking to. But within that program, we still have the option that all of the athletes that take the program can talk to coaches that are able to teach this on our platform. And so we are able, or we're in a very fortunate position where we're not able to only help the athletes, but also the coaches that want to teach it. So we're really
Right.
trying to be like a platform that can help everybody and not really, take away anything from other coaches.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense then. I get it. I think I was thinking way ahead of time ahead of myself where you teach somebody the skills and, they taking their money and you just lose, you just lose a lot of potential with that. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself again here. So just to rewind a little bit and for the folks that are listening. So we are talking to Christian Straka, global mindset coach, mindful coach, Adidas runner, former professional tennis player and professional tennis coach. And I'm gonna, just go back to that right quick. When did you stop playing tennis? When did you retire?
I started playing tennis when I was around 4, so
For
very early.
mm,
And then I stopped playing professionally when I was 20. I think it was 2021, something like that. I had an
that's young,
injury.
isn't it?
Um, they removed my first rib. It was
Oh,
a kind of unfortunate event, but in terms of my tennis career, but it was a fortunate event in terms of how the rest of my life developed. So
right,
I would
right.
still do everything again the same way if I would
Mm,
know what's going to happen.
wow. What did you play in some of the big competitions?
Yeah, I mean, I played in the Grand Slams, but on a
Good.
junior level. So in the junior level, there's also all of these big tournaments like the Australian Open and US Open and all of that. So I'm the same age group as Federer and Safin and Hewitt and those guys. So like in their late
Mm,
30s, early 40s.
right.
And Roger and I played doubles together at the Australian Open in '98 and went to the semis there.
Nice.
And but he excelled much faster, much further,
It's
and
great.
still is there.
It's still there,
Yeah,
right?
it was an amazing experience for me early on, and I was kind of a little bit of a late bloomer,
Okay.
especially mentally speaking. I was
Mm,
physically, I was pretty far developed, and I was able to play pretty well, but I was not able to um, sustain those levels that I was able to reach periodically. And that
okay.
was not that was not physically, that was just mentally. I wasn't able to focus for long enough, or when things mattered. I was too affected by if I would get nervous or anxious during points. Motivation was an issue, and all of those things were something that I developed further down the road.
Right.
So now having realized that on myself, how different experience it can be if you have those mental skills.
Right.
Now I'm just trying to give that to all the other athletes
All
that
the people,
haven't
right?
yet.
Pass it on. Right. Pass it on. Is that a maximum age? Like the oldest you can be at the junior level before you have to move on, either go to the pros or find something else to do? Like, is there like a graduation age? Like, is the junior level to a how many years you can be a junior level tennis player?
Yeah, it's a cutoff at 18, like a clean
18.
cut. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Once you're 18, you're not allowed to play juniors anymore, but you are allowed to play with on the pro tour before you're 18. You can start, I think, when you're
Okay.
14 or 15 in theory, and there that happens sometimes. It's not too common, but I mean, it's not 1 in a million either.
Right. So if you're not good enough to make it to the pros, I'm guessing there has to be like some kind of playing tournament, or you have to earn enough wins playing before you can get invitation to the pro leagues. If you're not good enough to be in the pros, then what do the guys do after juniors?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's definitely something that a lot of players struggle with, because
Okay.
on the tennis tour, um, like on the golf tour, or a lot of those individual sports,
Mm-hmm.
the air gets very thin at the top,
Mm.
because you're not within the top 50 or 100 or 150 in the world best athletes. You can't even make a living.
Yeah.
If you're a
Wow.
basketball player, if you're a soccer player, then there's just more room. There is,
Right.
if you're the 200th best soccer player in the world, then you're definitely making enough money to be able to make a living.
Good
Uh,
money.
so um, what a lot of athletes do is in the US, they have a great program here, of course, with the universities that doesn't exist really anywhere else in the world in that way, where
Right.
players are able to play on a college level, have additional time to figure out, how far can they get. And if they're really at the very top in the college world, then the chances are pretty good that you're going to make it on the pro tour also, not necessarily to, the top 10 or top 50, but like
Right.
top 100, top 200, you have a very good chance if you're already at that level, if you're like in the
Okay.
5 in the US in the NCAA, for example.
Right. Right.
And if you don't make that, well, then you keep going to college and you graduate and you made a lot of very good connections
Right.
with a lot of people that you meet over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and then you take it from there. But if you have been on the tour and you tried to make it and you couldn't quite, then there's either some athletes go back to university. That's definitely one option that is not uncommon.
Right.
A lot of players go and try to become coaches. Some want to go and coach on tours. Some don't want to travel and start to coach in clubs or even in universities. They become the head pro of a college team. So if they stay within the sport, that's generally tends to be like, as far as I know, the three most common kind of directions former athletes go to.
Yeah, I think a lot of college athletes, if they don't make it to the pros, usually, well, like you said, though, in the U.S., with the exception of basketball, even in soccer, you can still, well, baseball's the best at it, really. You still have the junior leagues where you can be a professional athlete at the junior level and make decent living.
Yeah.
And I think, and soccer has a little bit of that, but obviously not the same as getting to the MLS or any of that. So to get back into the mindset coaching and the mindful coaching, you mentioned three skills. What are those?
So the three skills are concentration, clarity, and coolness.
Okay.
So concentration we would define as an athlete's ability to pay attention to whatever it is that they want. So, depending on the sport that you're in, depending on the situation that you're in within your sport, there is an infinite amount of different experiences that you need to pay attention to. Sometimes you need to direct your attention to certain things. You need to pay attention to, where the ball is. You need to redirect your attention to where the opponent is. Then you need to direct your attention to how you feel.
Mm,
Then you need to direct your attention to some strategic aspect. What should you be thinking about? What you need to analyze something. So whatever it is that you could be paying attention to, if
right.
you direct your attention there, or if you keep your attention there for any amount of time, that is what we call concentration.
Okay.
So that is the first skill that we are using. Everybody has that skill, but we are also improving it with certain techniques and strategies in a systematic way. So that skill improves over time and it doesn't just stay the same, you know?
Mm, right.
Then the second skill, clarity, is what other people also call awareness or being in the moment. But really, what that skill is an athlete's ability to track in real time what it is that they're experiencing. So let's say you are directing your attention to um, where the ball is, and the ball is flying. If you are now noticing how fast the ball is flying, if you're noticing what trajectory the ball has, what spin the ball has, and so forth, if you're noticing any kind of detail, then that is sensory clarity. And
Mm,
that applies also in every single sense category. So it's not just visually what you're seeing externally, it could also be in the body. So you might need to be able to direct your attention to, let's say, your arm because you're throwing the ball in football. And now you're noticing you're a little tense. So if that you're noticing that tension in your arm, that would be sensory clarity.
okay.
Directing your attention there, that would be concentration, right?
Okay.
So it's two different skills that always work together, but they're still independent from one another. And then the third skill, coolness,
Coolness.
that's somebody's ability to try to be equally open to pleasant and unpleasant experiences without trying to suppress or avoid unpleasant experiences you don't like, and without trying to cling to pleasant experiences that you do like. So it's like a third option, kind of in the middle between those two. Like you kind of matter of fact look at something, just what it is, and then you can act and react um, based on what the best action is, and not just based on how you feel about something.
Hmm. If you ever had, this is great. I can definitely I can put myself in almost every single one of these at the lowest level, of course, because I still have to be trained by you. Um, but you ever had players or athletes that suffer from ADHD and trying to get into the concentration and clarity and coolness? If you had players like that, and how difficult was that trying to get them to focus and stay in the moment?
Yes, definitely. Have I experienced that with some of the athletes I work with? And the underlying principle is the same. So if you are experiencing ADHD, and that
Hmm.
might be, because you actually have a disorder that is clinical, or it might also be just because you have developed your mind into that direction because you're just too much on your phone. So
Right,
what the causes might be different, and then how much time and effort you need to put in and how much you can improve those skills might vary, of course.
right,
But the underlying principle is in terms of what it is that you would do, and what skills you would want to develop is the same. And the principle of how those skills improve also don't necessarily change.
mm,
So if you have somebody, if you have an athlete and he's on the tennis court and he has ADHD, meaning he just can't sustain his attention on
right,
something that is relevant for the moment, right? So it might
right,
be you're listening to the coach. Um, it's as simple as that. The coach is standing there, he's explaining something for like a minute or two, in terms of the exercise, what you want to be doing, and the athlete is listening at the beginning, and all of a sudden he just starts dozing off and mind wandering, or he even turns away and starts paying attention to what is going on the other side of the tennis court. So what is happening is that the athlete is not able to maintain his attention on just listening to what the
mm,
coach is saying. And that is exactly what we are actually practicing and developing. That is one of the skills, that's concentration. And when you're putting in systematic, consistent effort into developing this ability to pay attention to what you want to pay attention to, then that
right,
skill over time is going to improve. So the baseline of that level. So the baseline of concentration would basically be the degree of concentration that you have when you're not even trying to concentrate. Just
right,
how focused are you if you're just like going about your day? And then
mm,
if you put an effort into focusing, okay, then you're going to focus even more. So both of those will improve. The effortful concentration, when you're trying to focus, you're going to be
right,
able to do that better. But even the baseline of like when you're not even trying to focus and you're just paying attention to whatever, even that is going to improve.
right, right, right. Absolutely. Um, Concentration, clarity, and coolness. And they sort of link into each other. Like when I look at it, you have that full concentration, there's a clarity there. And with that clarity comes some kind of coolness and some sort of coolness to you. Do you find that some people have a higher level of one than the other? And which one is it? Which one do they seems to have a lot more of it than they do the others?
Yes, actually, that's very interesting that you bring that up. There's definitely, uh, because these three skills are skills, like any other skill, whether it might be strength or speed or a strategical understanding or touch or any other kind of coordinational skill, these attentional skills are also given to us. We all have them. And you said that actually at the very beginning when we started talking. It's like, yeah, I haven't noticed like I caught myself in, experiencing any one of those three.
Mm,
And that is exactly true. These are not skills that nobody has or barely has, or maybe some of us have some of the skills. the truth is that we all have those skills. We couldn't even function if we wouldn't have those skills as, healthy human beings. But because we're not putting any time and effort into really developing those skills, they don't really improve that much over the course of our lifetimes. Um, but some of us are just naturally more gifted at paying attention.
Right.
Some of us are just naturally, react cooler to certain situations than others.
Mm.
Two people might experience the exact same situation, and one of us has a very strong reaction to it, and the other one doesn't have. So
Right.
that's just your natural base level, and those natural base levels can vary greatly from human to human and also from situation to situation. So you might be generally, be able to pay a lot of attention very easily in situation X. Let's say you're on the basketball court, and you are watching your teammates and you can focus very much. And then you're in a different situation in the park, and you want to be listening to somebody, and all of a sudden it's not so easy for you. So concentration, clarity, and coolness, they all have also these subcategories of skills, and all of these different subcategories also need to be trained. So we get kind of develop those skills on a broader, more fundamental level. And
Mm.
then we can tailor the training more to our individual needs, to whatever it is that we want, because it is, as an athlete, I need to have this particular skill in
Right.
this sport, or it's just because, I choose to improve certain skill, not because, it benefits my performance necessarily, but for whatever other reason.
Right.
So that being said, yes, to your question, there's definitely some people have one skill more developed than another, and also some people have them more developed than other people just naturally. I cannot say necessarily which one of the three skills people generally, have more of. I think that's very individual.
Mm.
And I have never heard or seen a pattern like that,
Okay. Right.
But I think the key point to take away is that even if you have been given um, one of the skills or multiple of the skills at a higher level, so you're just naturally more gifted when it comes to paying attention or to being cool with difficult situations, um, that would still pale in comparison to um, how improved or how good those skills can be if you actually put in time to train those skills for longer periods of times. If
Okay.
you really dedicate for a year, 2 years, 5 years training those skills, like you would do your craft, your
Hmm.
speed, your flexibility, your agility, your technique, and so forth. That also, you can improve that within a matter of 8 weeks, of 12 weeks, but how much stronger are you going to get if you work out for 3 months, and how much stronger are
Right.
you going to get if you work out for 5 years?
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar.
Right. Big difference. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You are a coach in Germany.
In
Um,
LA, actually.
in LA. You didn't coach in Germany? Oh, you coached the German team in LA?
Well, I used to coach in Germany and Spain,
Okay.
and I moved to LA with my wife around nine
Right.
years ago now,
Oh, okay.
and
Very nice.
now we're here.
Oh, good. When you coaching, um, where like you coaching like when you coach the tennis team, were you coaching tennis players to play tennis, or were you coaching the mindful mindset part of the game?
I would always say both.
Both. Okay.
For the last years,
Hmm.
sometimes I would kind of highlight one more than the other, depending on what the athlete needs, depending on what he wants, also. So obviously also players, especially, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that I would coach, and it was really mostly only the tennis aspect of it. It might
Mm.
only be technical, but it's almost impossible to eliminate any of those three skills from your coaching,
Mm.
because paying attention always plays a part in what you need to be doing,
Right.
and it's something that I've always incorporated, but I have not necessarily emphasized it as much 15 years ago, and as I have been, since we have really developed mind size and I've been working with the athletes so much. So when I went with Mike Bryan to the World Championships in London. When was that? Like 1.5 years ago. There, I didn't go as his tennis coach, but I went in as his mental performance coach, and he had his tennis coach there also, and his fitness coach, and so forth.
Right, and I'm pretty sure you have multiple players of different sports that come and train with you, and as a group, as a team, or individually. Is there a particular sport that you feel like you got more feedback from their players or from those athletes about how this has been impactful to their life? Like, is it more a lot of soccer players, football players, just runners, or tennis players that say, "Man, this is great. I need it when I'm about to tackle, or when it's fourth and down, 4th and 1, or I'm about to take a penalty kick." If you had, one sport in particular that you feel like you've gotten more back from those players about, how great this has been for them.
Yeah, that's a good question, but I have to say, actually, no, there was not one sport that would particularly stand out,
Okay.
because these experiences I have had, or the athletes that I worked with have had in all sports. So
Okay.
whether I worked with golfers and they had very significant performance improvements just in their score, just like,
Mm,
they improved their score drastically. The same thing with runners, the same thing with tennis players, the same thing with soccer players. So it really depends on how much time you put in, how well versed you become with
okay.
all of those different aspects of how to train these skills and what strategies to use, that it really benefits your performance the most. And if you put in
Mm,
the time and you really learn how to do that, the effects that it will have on your performance are pretty significant, independent of the sport. And there's actually a decent amount of scientific studies out now for different sports that show the positive impacts for the athletes.
oh, great. Very good. Very good. I mean, I know we have different levels and different athletes of different sport that listen to the show. So, what age do you recommend players start using the mindset coach and your mindful program?
So I would say the Mind Size for Athletes program, that's something you would want to start when you're really at the point where you're interested, in improving your performance. You don't necessarily need to be a professional athlete. You can just be a recreational athlete also, but that's still, nonetheless, that is your interest. And that
Okay.
could be, from athletes from, I would say, maybe 14, 15 at the earliest, to
Mm,
do this particular program. But you can also tailor these techniques for athletes that are much younger, which we also do, but that would not necessarily be that exact program. But it's actually something that we have in the pipeline for the future, where you just need to tailor it to kids in a more playful way, that it's not
right.
necessarily performance directed, but they still learn these different techniques and strategies to use while they are working out, while they're doing their sport, but in a more playful manner. For little kids, generally things need to be fun and
Right.
games. And
Right.
if that is the case, it's more interesting to them, and they're
Hmm.
going to pay much more attention to it without putting too much effort in.
Yeah, kids don't want nothing serious. They just want to goof around. So,
Yeah,
and if they can't scream and yell and goof, they don't want to do it. I don't want to do this.
exactly.
I've coached U8 soccer boys. I've coached U11 soccer kids, and their attention span. Even the U18s and the high school kids, they sometimes you just want to be like, look, stop it.
Yes,
They
exactly.
just they don't pay attention. They don't want to do anything. So, but I know you coach. You coach number one tennis player in the world at one point, and you coach another top 10 player in the world at one point. Talk about how much fun was that? What was that like being involved?
It was a lot of fun, obviously, working
Yeah,
with the best athletes in the world,
right.
and seeing where their natural talents are, whether those are physical or coordinational, or whether they're mental, and their
Mm,
enthusiasm and passion about what they're doing and their dedication to, experience that firsthand is always a very special experience.
Mm.
But I have to say simultaneously that I have also been working with a lot of people that like to do sport and are not professional athletes, but they might have excelled or still are, very successful in different parts of their life. Maybe they're musicians, maybe they're actors, maybe they're scientists, and they have that same passion, even though they are not, one of the best tennis players in the world. But the amount of enthusiasm and passion they bring to
Right.
this moment when they're trying to learn something is pretty much equal to what the person that is number one in the world brings to it. Or you could
Right.
also reverse it and say, okay, so if you have somebody who is number one in the world in tennis and you work with them and the way they pay attention and how hard they try and how much passion they have when they're practicing is at a certain level. And if this individual is now going to try to do something else and they're not going to be a professional at it, it's just a hobby of theirs.
Right.
However, they're bringing in the same level of intensity and passion and dedication to every other um, act that they are doing, every other sport, every other hobby that they have.
Mm.
And working with people in whatever field then is always fun. So for me, it's really like working with somebody who's number one in the world is fantastic. But if it's not, but they have just the same amount of passion and dedication, then
Right.
I'm having just as much fun working with them. And it's just as special for me if they're number one in the world or not.
Right. Right. Yeah. It would be nice to be affiliated with that much success and winning. Um, and obviously, your background is heavy in tennis. But besides tennis, what's your favorite sport to watch on TV?
I would say soccer, basketball. I enjoy watching very much on TV.
Okay.
Um, Baseball, actually, I enjoy watching if I'm close up.
Right.
I have
At the
watched
game.
the Dodgers a couple of times on TV. That's a little, I'm not enjoying quite as much.
Uh,
Um, and hmm, what else? Actually, certain fights, UFC sometimes or
UFC.
boxing,
Yeah.
it's very strategical,
Yeah.
Not necessarily the show before or after it is not something that I enjoy too much, but the actual fight and the strategy behind it and how hard they're trying, that is also something I enjoy quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, being an athlete, it's not obviously nothing easy. I'm pretty sure being out there in LA, you've been to Lakers game or Clippers game, right?
Yes, yes, I have.
What's the best game you've been to so far?
Hmm. I have actually not been in a while,
Mm.
but I did enjoy very much at one point when the Lakers played the Bulls. I think,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, because the Bulls are also close to my heart, just because when I was growing up and Jordan, Pippen, Rodman were kind of playing, like Bulls were my kind of favorite team when I used to live in Germany still.
Yeah.
Um,
Everybody loves the
and
Bulls.
yeah, right. I'm not kidding. And
Yeah.
also a dear friend of mine is very closely affiliated with the Bulls, so I
Good.
always hear a lot what's going on there. So that was kind of just personally like a special game for me. Not
Oh, that's
necessarily
cool.
because of how good they played, but just because of those two teams, really.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I think, like you said, back in the days, definitely. Even till now, I think some of those fans are still the Bulls fan are still around, just not so much dedicated to the team because the winning has been a little bit down, a lot down since the MJ era. So, but but I totally get it. So when you're not doing all the busy stuff, coaching and helping others, what are you doing to relax?
What I do to relax is definitely I train my mind a lot,
Mm,
and even though that takes effort, at the same time, it also has the effect of relaxation,
okay.
especially depending on what techniques you do. And that is not only exclusively in situations what, let's say, people normally understand as meditation, when you would be sitting, in a lotus position and everything is kind of silent around you and nobody's
Right.
doing or saying anything. But that could
Hmm.
be in any moment, lying at the beach, and just using those three skills and really enjoying what pleasant experiences I am exposed to at that moment. That is something I enjoy very much doing, is directing my attention to something that is pleasant. That is actually something I do to relax. It's just
Wow.
pleasant. So
Wow.
I have the choice between paying attention in one moment to something that is unpleasant or something that is pleasant. They're both happening simultaneously. And if I choose to pay attention to something pleasant, then it starts to be very enjoyable. But,
Wow.
your attentional skills have to be at a level where you're able to do that, and your attention doesn't get hijacked by this unpleasant experience all the
Right.
time, which tends to be the case early on for most people.
Yes. I mean, my mind is on train and terrible. I can tell you that right now. But I'm definitely gonna get your help so I can train my mind. I need to have a sharp mind and a dedicated, focused mind is full of concentration, clarity, and coolness. So, Kristen, the floor is yours. Please tell the people where they can find you, how they can reach out to you for help, if who you train, what you can help them with, and how you can help them just to find that mindful and mindset training that you provide. So the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So, yes, if anybody is interested in, developing these skills or learning more about mind size or what I do and Adidas, then I would say go to mindsizesports.com. And you can find out really everything about these three skills that you need. You can also go to my Instagram, straka.la, and also my Facebook, where I actually have a lot of material up that you can go through that is all free of charge for anybody. That will already be a lot of time that you can kind of put in to develop those skills. So among my Instagram, my Facebook, mindsizesports.com, and then also Adidas really is an amazing place to go, adidasrunners.com. You can check it out. It's a fantastic community that is local, physical, not so much at the moment, of course, but also a digital, global community of thousands and thousands of like-minded athletes that work on, all different performance qualities, from mindset to nutrition to performance and recovery. Those are all places that you can go to that I think people will enjoy very much if they're interested in, this area.
Absolutely, absolutely. You heard it. Check him out. If you need anything, reach out to him. Hey, Christian, if a college team needs coach wants to reach out to you, they can just go on your Instagram, any of those, and just contact you, right?
Yes, exactly. They can contact me via also my website, straka.la.
Straka.la.
Is my website. There's a form you can reach out there if you write me over Instagram message, and then we can get into email communication. And working with colleges, of course, this is one of the things that the Mind Size for Athletes program is really designed for,
Okay.
because it is much easier than in one-on-one coaching sessions, especially now, with the whole COVID situation,
COVID.
where people need to develop those skills, but it's kind of more challenging to do it
Mm-hmm.
in groups with people together. So everybody can do it from the comfort of their home, on their phones or on their computers where they are, and they can go through a rigorous training program that will have tangible benefits on their performance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with me and give all our athlete audience something to listen to and, to give it to challenge themselves and to improve themselves. Really, really appreciate you taking the time out, Christian. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, my man.
Absolutely, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yes, you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Point Noted Podcast with Johnny B and Rashad B. Follow us on Twitter @PTNoted and Instagram @PointNoted. Hit the subscribe and follow button to follow us and check out more episodes of us talking a whole bunch of shit. You've been noted.